Hi, cat. Come and get some mango, baby.
One, two, 1, 2, 3. Self-awareness is a superpower. My name is KathyLaDonna. Welcome to Soul and Vibration. I hope the free thinkers are doing well. And if you're not doing well, I'm happy to remind you that you are the most powerful person that you know. You are the most powerful person that you know because only you can create your reality. Hey guys, today is Sunday, February 23rd, and the energies in the day adds up or reduced to number 7 vibration. If today is your birthday, happy birthday. When it comes to the spirit guidance for today's energy, we are guided by the owl, and the owl is in the reverse position. So with the owl as a spirit guidance, the owl brings me to the importance of being still. The owl brings me to the importance of reading between the lines. It brings me to seeing something for what it is. Like I think of how the owl can see within the dark. And I also think of how they could turn their head and be able to see a lot. And when it comes to today's energy, the question is, what am I not seeing and why am I choosing not to see it? When I think of today's energy, adding up or reducing to number 7 vibration, today's one of those days where we could find ourselves really reflecting deeply when it comes to certain things. Mars goes direct today also in Cancer. So hopefully with Mars going direct, even though Mars doesn't leave Cancer until April, but maybe with the direct energy, we might find ourselves feeling less weighed down and a little bit more energy feels like it's given back. So that's a good thing to look forward to with Mars direct. But anyways, with today's energy, Neptune plays a big part in today's energy in the sense that today's Sunday is ruled by the sun, and the sun is in Pisces, and Neptune is the ruler of Pisces. And today's energy adds up or reduced to number 7 vibration, and the number 7 is ruled by Neptune. And today's the 23rd. 2 plus 3 is 5, and number 5 is associated with Mercury, and Mercury is in Pisces. So there's big Neptunian influence when it comes to today's energy. And with this big Neptunian influence, things could go one of two ways. It could go one way where today could be a very enlightening, profound day where you have you have some kind of a spiritual breakthrough or some kind of a realization where maybe, intuitively you got this knowing, or you got this knowing, or you heard something. You heard of your voice within, and that was exactly what you needed to hear. You were watching something and you got some kind of an insight. And from getting that insight, from getting that realization, from that awareness, it's like you feel like you've evolved. You had your, sage Buddha type moment. That could be that one aspect of today. Or the next aspect of today could be that instead you find yourself, and this is not a bad aspect, so I'm gonna give 3, because 1, like I said, you had this breakthrough, this aha moment, and another could be that you spent the day binge watching a certain show, and so it's almost as if the whole day you felt like you were one of the characters within that show. Maybe you're watching some kind of a long form content so long that it's almost like it took you in type of vibe, and maybe an aha moment or a realization can come from that. Or the third thing, when it comes to today's energy, you could find yourself saying that, you could find yourself stepping back into something that you said you are done with, that you said you were over. And this thing that you step into that you say you were done with, or the thing that you said you were over, it's like something that has it could be, in some cases, it's like this thing has a hold on a person, whether it's a relationship or a connection that, you know, it's off and on. There's never anything consistent or stable, but all of a sudden you find yourself hitting the person back up. Or instead of hitting a person back up, you find yourself, you know, you said you were done with artificial processed sweets, and you're sitting there consuming a bunch of it. Or, you know, you said you were done smoking or drinking, and all of a sudden, like, you had to hit up your weed man because it's like you just feel this strong need to hit the joint. But, you know, you'll justify and say, whenever I hit the joint, I meditate through it. Or you might say, I have great conversations with this person, so this is why I'm hitting them up. It's almost like going about a thing and feeling like, oh, I'm doing it for this reason, and completely overlooking the fact of it. If it's the relationship connection thing, it could be that, you know, I think of a person addicted to wanting to feel a certain way. And even though when it comes to dealing with this person, things never go the way that they like, but, you know, the person's accessible, so they hit the person up. Or they keep projecting onto this person and assume that this person will one day be something that they'll never be. So that's the reason for hitting them up, seeing them through rose-colored glasses, seeing the situation through rose-colored glasses, only to jump in and then get slapped awake and then jump back out. And same thing with the other forms of escapism, whether, say, it's the person in the weed, you make up an excuse and you jump in, and then you notice that, you know, there's no motivation and energy to do things when it comes to your day-to-day life, and you're getting up and you're doing the bare minimum, and you're exhausted, and you feel like you're being depleted. You know, same thing with the junk food or whatnot. We jumped in and then we get slapped awoke and we jump back out. And when it comes to today's energy, and just within this energy, while we're in Pisces season, I feel like it's so easy to find ourselves jumping into certain things and justifying the jump in, but really the jump in is to not feel our feelings. It's because we feel powerless. So it's like, I want to get away from these feelings and I don't want to feel them. So I don't want to feel what I'm feeling. I want to feel anything but what I'm feeling. And then we come up with good excuses to entertain the things that we could jump into in order to feel something different. And, you know, but I hope instead, when it comes to today's energy, you know, instead we experience those profound enlightened moments, even though I feel like that might be a bit challenging, because with Moon in Capricorn, with the Moon in Capricorn energy, I mean, at least the Moon is in the 8th house, but it's in Capricorn. So with the Moon in Capricorn energy, instead the inner world could be a little bit too, the inner world is focused on material type things. The inner world is focused on foundational type things. The inner world, the Moon in Capricorn, is focused on structure. It's focused on the way how things are supposed to be. So depending on how you were raised and what you were taught things should be like, you know, that's where the inner world, but most important, the inner world is focused on responsibility. You know, my role in a thing. And when I say my role in a thing, not accountability, but responsibility, meaning I think of Capricorn's energy and how it's Capricorn's nature to play hero. Because when you think of Capricorn's association to the 10th house, and the 10th house is the highest point in the zodiac wheel. So being in the 10th house, imagine standing up on top of the hill and everybody is looking up at you. And with Capricorn energy, we all have within us this thing where we feel like people are looking at us about. We have this thing where we feel like the world or our families have expectations when it comes to this thing. So because of that, it could cause us to naturally want to jump in and play hero. So with Capricorn energy jumping in and playing hero, this is where we take on additional responsibilities. We take on more than we can manage. We bite off way more than we can chew. We want to show up and play hero, you know, because Capricorn is at the top of the mountain and everybody is looking up at it. So of course it feels by nature to, you know, take on everything, because Capricorn assumes everybody expects it to, and everybody only expects what we keep showing them. You know, we teach other people what to expect of us. And with the Moon in Capricorn energy, to me, instead, this is a good energy where we question ourselves when it comes to what do I have the ability to respond to and what do I not have the ability to respond to. When it comes to today's energy, some of us could find ourselves reflecting on yesterday's energy, and maybe within yesterday's energy, you know, some of us took on way more than we can manage. We took on more responsibility, whether it's literally saying yes to things, or like I was saying in yesterday's message, oversharing, over giving, and realizing that in the process of doing that, you know, you took on way too much. And also when it comes to today's energy, there's a big challenge when it comes to, say, you know, being nurtured by your ambitions and goals, but not having the motivation to go after those ambitions and goals because of requirements within the home space, or it doesn't even have to be within the home space. I think of the situation where, you know, because a person has been through so much when it comes to their home and their family, and from those things that they've been through within the home and the family environment, those things feel, you know, those things, it's like they pull from you. It's like they drain you, they exhaust you. And because of that, it's like with the moon in Capricorn, I think of the person who is nurtured at the thought of being ambitious, but with the T-square being made, it's like on the inside, you're nurtured at the thought of being ambitious, but might lack the work ethic and the ability to lock in and be disciplined and focused and to make things happen. And I feel like that's like a really, like that's tough in the sense that I think of with, saying a person has their moon in that position where it's like your inner world, you fantasize about making certain things happen, but lack the ability. And when I say lack the ability, like we can always implement different things within our lives in order to make things happen. But if a person doesn't have the ability to see that they need to implement things to make it happen, or lack the discipline to make things happen, then a person can find themselves in a real messed up situation where they have all these ambitions, but instead they're sitting on the sideline watching people come in and out of their lives, winning, in the sense that if you have the ambition and drive to win and make certain things happen, you're going to be attracted to people who have the ambition and drive to also make things happen. But if you have the ambition and drive, you're nurtured because your moon is in a place where you want to achieve certain things, and naturally you fantasize about those things, but don't have the discipline or the ability to focus and lock in and be consistent and make it happen. With your moon being in that space, you will attract other people who are like-minded, but you will see them come into your life and go, because if you're not growing, but they're growing, they're gonna come and go. It's like you're here and they're here, they pass you because your frequencies are similar, because you have these ambitions and goals, they have the ambitions and goals, but if they're locked in and focused, eventually they're gone. So I feel like when it comes to this energy, you know, that's the challenge that I see with the energy, where I think of, the person who's nurtured by the idea of being ambitious and making things happen, but struggle with doing so. And the struggle for me comes to not being able to lock in. So this person's going to be sitting on the bleachers watching everybody else come and go. Let's pause for a bit. I am proud of the services that I offer and excited to tell you about them. If it would be your first time booking with me, then I recommend the natal chart and numerology awareness coaching session. For a while, that was the only service I offered, along with the 30 minutes tarot reading, which is still available if you're interested. I noticed the pattern. At the end of the natal chart and numerology coaching sessions, some of you would ask me for a follow-up service options for additional clarity and guidance to assist you with whatever you're going through at the moment. I kept saying, I'll look into it. I don't know why it took me so long. Finally, I have created that option, along with the service option to book a solar return chart reading for those of you who are strategic and like to plan ahead. Everything you need to know is within the description box below. Let's get back into the video. And when it comes to the tarot, we have the Knight of Wands energy in the upright position. With the Knight of Wands energy in the upright position, The Knight of Wands brings me to action, motivation, fire, applying fire to a thing. And when I think of, say, today's message, I think of what I just mentioned with, say, with the moon in Capricorn and this T-square being made to it. And I think of, like, say, within all of us, if any of us could find ourselves in that situation where it's like, there's certain things that you want to experience in this life, but completely lacks the motivation to make them happen. And I feel like if that is the case, then this is a great opportunity to look into ourselves to see what's happening with the motivation when it comes to that thing. Because in some cases, it could be fear. It could be because we are terrified of putting ourselves out there, maybe going alone, terrified of being seen. There's something, like I think of Mars and Cancer energy in retrograde, opposing that moon in Capricorn. And with the moon in Capricorn, it's like, yeah, I'm nurtured at the thought of being at the top of the hill and everybody seeing me and knowing me for this thing, whatever this thing is. But Mars in retrograde in Cancer, it's like Mars energy, I'm motivated by home, family, and I'm reflecting on home and family. And with Mars in retrograde, to me, imagine Mars energy being a rocket. And in Cancer, in retrograde, it's like that rocket is turned off. There's no fire in it. It's just there. Even though Mars does go direct today, but it's still in a place where it doesn't want to be. So we're nurtured at certain thoughts, but at the same time, nurtured by certain things. But then, and I feel like this is where someone with strong Capricorn, Cancer placements within their chart will struggle with, in the sense that there's a part of them that feels called to experience certain things. And if you feel called within you, or you have visions, or you feel attracted to certain things, that's because I feel, there's a big chance that you're meant to have those experiences. So if you're meant to have the experience of achieving success in things, with Cancer energy in the chart, I can see where Cancer energy is like the opposition. It's fighting. It's almost like there's a part of you that want to go out there, but then there's a other part of you that's fighting you, even feel like sabotaging. And fighting and sabotaging because these energies are so, they're the same because they're on the same plane, but they're so different. Where one wants to hide away and one wants to be seen. And it's a matter of bringing them together. But before we could even bring them together, we first have to be aware of the workings behind the scenes, how these energies work, how they work behind the scenes. Because with Capricorn energy being such an ambitious energy, could be one that paralyzes in place at the thought of going after anything with procrastination. And the procrastination would be a fear that I'm not enough, or I might not have what it takes. And for a person, that could be this underlying thing that they don't even realize it's a thing, but it's a thing, and it's playing in the background and also supporting Cancer's fear of being seen. And it's like with Cancer energy, sometimes Cancer energy will give off this vibe to me. It's almost like a person is afraid of being exposed. And it's like, exposed for what? I think of in the readings that I have, and I'll say it to Cancers, and they're like, people with strong Cancer placements, and it's like, yeah, I do struggle with that fear of being exposed, and exposed for what? I don't know. And, when it comes to, today's energy, I feel like with some of us, that might be a thing that we're dealing with. So, think about within yourself, there's a part of you that want to have a certain experience, but then there's another part of you that is fighting. It's like pulling, it's like a push and a pull. It's like recognize the experience you want to have, and recognize the things that you do that oppose that experience. I think of the person who wants ideal health, but will find themselves all of a sudden binging out on junk. And it's like, how did I get here? Look at that opposition, pay attention to it, and try to understand it. Today, Siri enters into Pisces. So Siri sounds like cereal. Siri is an asteroid that talks about how we nurture ourselves. And with Siri going into Pisces, Siri energy talks about how we nurture ourselves and how we nurture others. The positive aspect of Siri going there is that we might nurture ourselves and others by encouraging meditation, by encouraging, say, spiritual practices, whether you're praying, you're walking, you're just taking care of yourself, you're drawing, you're singing, you're dancing, nurturing yourself through energy work, you know? On the challenging aspect of Siri and Pisces, we might nurture ourselves through delusion and escapism, a lack of accountability. Because with, say, Pisces energy operating on the lower frequency, if we can't even see ourselves or clearly see our reality, how could we take responsibility for something that we can't even see properly? And I feel like that could be the lower side of Siri energy entering into Pisces, where it's like we encourage, ourselves nurture ourselves in ways that, you know, could be drugs, could be any form of escaping an addiction and things of that. And we encourage the same in others. I think of like the person who, you know, likes to smoke and likes to have others around them smoke too. I feel like that's like the Siri and Pisces operating on a lower frequency. It's like, you're not going to hit the joint. Why you ain't hitting the joint? Or they like to drink and they want everybody else around them to drink too. Or they like to have certain foods, even though it's not good and they know it's not good and they want everybody around them to have it too. Where Siri in a positive place in Pisces energy, or in the negative space, is like, I think of a person buying into certain low vibrational ways of thinking, and they're also encouraging others to think that way too. Get company when it comes to, you know, thinking and seeing the world in a limiting way. But in the positive way, I think of the person who's meditating and they're like, you know, you should meditate too, because from meditating, you know, you're going to be able to do this. It's almost like encouraging others to activate their inner Neo, I'll say. Encouraging others to activate their inner Neo is Ceres and Pisces operating in a higher frequency. It's like the person that says, yeah, I noticed ever since I've been breathing, doing these breath exercises, my life has transformed. I've noticed ever since I've gone to bed early, my dreams are showing me this. It's like activating the inner Neo is what I would say. So yeah, when it comes to today's energy, this is my message, and it was a pleasure sharing it with you. Before you go anywhere, please let me know you're here with me by dropping me a purple heart in the comment box below. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Love yourself as if your life depended on it, because it does. Take care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.